All right, welcome back. So we're going to just do some sounds. Simplicity is the key. So before I start the actual demo, just overall, I have 6 expansions. Each expansion is sort of uh, organized in such a way where there's more concentration in very specific areas, which we'll go over. But overall, all 6 of these expansions are very complementary to one another. Complementary in the perspective of it's an all-in-one solution for those people that were really big into the sounds of the 80s and 90s, mostly the 80s and early 90s. And admittedly, that's where really all the originality and the sounds, during the that particular time, there was a big growth of experimentation and sense of the popular music of the 80s. All right, so I'm going to start off with some of the things that most keyboard players, really want, which are keyboard sounds. These are all playable by the keyboard. So if I take all glass, this is based off of Robbie Buchanan mainly, which this was actually created with a 5080 and a DX7 rack. Okay, so very playable. So the D80s, so a lot of these again, I'm loading these. These are key group instruments, so here's the actual. So the cool thing about this is you can edit these and shape them. These are all samples, and then I program these in such a way. So I've got releases on this particular. You can hear, and this was a Tynes 14.1 from the DX7, the original DX7 from 1983. Although I got this out of the DX7 2FD. And a really cool thing about if you choose to end up sampling your own instruments is you can really sort of recreate them and then add stuff that wasn't actually there, which is really a big point. So let's just take this DX7 2FD, 5 patches. So if you think of the TX81 6 rack, I used to have that. Bought it back in like the mid 90s. Okay, and so again, like if you go into here, let's go pull up another. We'll pull up an MKS 20. What I did is I actually added either the chorus, reverb, and delay. So all the sounds, I programmed all these effects that come with the sound. Okay. And so we got the couple different MKSs. My MKS, they didn't make the part when it broke on the circuit board, so the company had to do some kind of weird. They got the parts from China and modified it, But nevertheless, I sampled the hell out of it and then sold it after it got fixed. And so now what I like mostly about the MKS, which are these type of sounds, you know, so if you take the actual piano number 3, which was one of my favorite ones, then I added effects to it. From the effects are from the MPC. And I think more important, it's all about getting. So if I take it's all about getting the sounds centralized is almost more important. So you're not going to a plugin and then going to a module and then you have to recall that when you re-archive the project. It's all about having things together. But one of the other kind of benefits is that you can stack. So I only had one MKS. So stacking the sound was not even possible because it wasn't multi-timbral. Now that the sounds are inside here, you can do this. You know, or you could take like that DX sound, and now you can layer a DX sound, which was actually done like with multiple DX7 sounds, which you couldn't do with one DX7 2FT, and now you have that capability of layering these sounds together. So, all right, so just overall, it's very difficult to, like I still have a Kronos, and that was probably, as far as like as a keyboard that makes sounds, probably one of the most powerful single instruments, even though it was introduced, I think, in 2011. Still better than a Montage in terms of power. I mean, it's subjective, but for what it was in 2011, it was still real powerful, but it doesn't compare to what I can do in this. Nothing close. So here's a sound called MKS Grusin. So I used to stack, it's called the RD piano, and like an electric piano. I used to stack them all the time, and so what I did is I compiled it so that one patch has the stack built into it, almost like a combi when you think of like the T series and so forth, and the Kronoses or the Korg synths. So this is just one sound. That actually worked out extremely well. All right. So pulse piano, this is a Kronos type of sound. And I thought I'd put it with all the keyboards because the sound itself, very cool. But when you layer it with another sound, so we'll just layer it with, take this ports off. So let's load it. Let's load a, this Rhodes Ultra. All right. And so I'm going to layer these two sounds together. So by the way, real quickly, if you're thinking about MPCX, MPC keys, leave a comment. I have opinions on all the Akai current products, which I've either owned or have owned. And so if you're interested in the different advantages and so forth, depending on how you want to utilize the instrument, I'd be happy to make a video on that. So, but check that out. Real big. Of course, the magic is when you get into the actual mix page, you can sort of bring these down. Okay, we'll go back. So these are just like electric piano combis. Like saying elsewhere, this is really originally from Montage, the original Montage, based off of that. It's a really tripped out. And this sound actually really reminds me of Smokey Robinson, Just to See Her. And that was Robbie Buchanan on that session, the keyboard player that played a ton of the ballads from the 80s and early 90s, from Michael Bolton to, again, Smokey Robinson, all the Whitney Houstons, Natalie Coles, all the Bette Midlers. So if you ever heard, that's Robbie Buchanan. Vanessa Williams, Color of the Wind, Miss You Like Crazy. But this sound, Anita Baker, I Love You Just Because, this sound reminds me of Robbie Buchanan. And then I put swimming EPs because this was a sound that I used to use a lot. The sound actually lives in the XV pack, which we'll go over in another video. So this was a multi-sample from the original DX7. And you can hear the releases. And again, this was all done in the program editor, the releases and so forth. But this was a really cool from the DX7. And I have more DX style electric pianos that are actually in the DX7 packet as well. So if I go into the Kormaha, which is like a Yamaha Korg pack, you're going to see a FM synth. So you see here the DX. Again, the object was not to kill you with sounds or really self-impose myself with too many choices. It was the idea of giving you the most inspiring sounds from that particular era, and then have sort of like an A layer, a B layer, but forego with all the extra sounds that would be sounds that you would not use. And that was probably one of the issues with like the Chronoses and the motifs, and to some extent with the Triton, is they had 7 or 8 banks, or even in the Chronos even more than those banks, with 128 sounds per bank. By the time you realistically go through the sounds, you get burnt out. Okay, so if I go into here, some Rhodes, pianos and stuff. So we'll go to custom spank. So if you're a fan of like the Fender Rhodes, here's a Fender. So no Rhodes actually really sounds exactly the same. I've got a Mark II here, Fender Rhodes. So like Knock My Fender, I took some samples from another synth and put them on the top so you get that nice sparkle. Acoustic pianos for sure. This is a cool grand that's based off of the studio grand that was in Logic. It's got the bite. And then in Tines Galore, I took release samples and the mechanical samples and then added them to the Fender Rhodes that was demonstrated earlier, so you can kind of get that. And I got a couple versions of that right here. So that's an example of Key Standard Digital, and it's in the Total Studio bundle, and it's one of the major expansions that's inside the bundle itself. So any questions or comments, leave below, and I'll have the link to the website. And until next time, everyone, peace out.